Good afternoon. I'm Inspector Norm Proctor, the Unit Commander of the Toronto Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force. Thank you all for attending. Just to recap, police received a call yesterday, February 16th, 2023, for a shooting. This was just after 12 noon at Weston Collegiate Institute in 12th Division. Police and paramedics located a 15-year-old male inside the school who was suffering from gunshot wounds. It was learned that this individual was shot outside the school and in the parking area. Officers from 12th Division, as well as the Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force, commenced an immediate investigation. It was determined that two suspects arrived in a 2022 gray Hyundai Elantra and entered the school parking area. At this time, it is alleged that the driver shot the victim multiple times from the vehicle. Suspects fled, and the suspect vehicle was later located in Peel Region. It's later learned by investigators that this vehicle had been stolen via carjacking earlier in the day prior to this occurrence, once again in Peel. With the assistance of the Peel Regional Police Service, the suspects were identified along with an address of interest, once again in Peel Region. Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force officers, with the assistance of the Toronto Emergency Task Force, executed a search warrant at this address in Peel earlier this morning. I'm pleased to report two male young persons, 17 years of age, were taken into custody and all add safely. A loaded 9mm firearm was seized at this location. The victim at this time remains critically stable. The two accused will be appearing in 2201 Finch Avenue West, courtroom number 201, later this afternoon, and are facing the following charges: attempted murder, discharge firearm with intent, point firearm, 2 counts of possession of a restricted or prohibited firearm without a license, 2 counts of possession of a firearm, possession of a restricted or prohibited firearm in a motor vehicle, remove the serial number of a firearm, possession of property obtained by crime over $5,000. And I'll add that further charges may be pending depending on where this investigation leads us. I'd like to thank the staff at Weston Collegiate Institute who assisted the victim during the way this unfolded and with this investigation. I'd also like to thank the responding officers and members of 12th Division, as well as the Peel Regional Police Service for their assistance in this investigation thus far. Lastly, I'd like to recognize and thank the investigators of the Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force, and I can tell you since this occurrence, they have been working tirelessly around the clock. Their skill and dedication has led to making quick arrests with the assistance of all others mentioned, but once again, there's much more work to be done. Keep in mind that this investigation is the very early stages. I will answer any questions that I can.
Could you just comment a little bit? It's a very quick turnaround to find these two boys. Obviously, it sounds like there was a car reported stolen. Can you maybe detail just a little bit more about how you were able to actually track these two boys down?
I'm not going to get into the trail of the investigation at this point. It's too early. We have to preserve the evidence and find the evidence and then preserve it, so I can't really comment. What I can comment on is the corroboration between police services, jurisdictions, members of our service, and leading this investigation and enabling us to make these quick arrests, because obviously this is an extremely serious matter that we take at the highest priority.
Could you just comment on the nature of the crime? It sounds fairly cold-blooded, two boys roll up in a stolen car, whether he was, at this point, if you believe the 15-year-old was the intended victim, is there larger organized crime that you have concerns about? Could you just speak to some of that?
It's a brazen offense, there's no doubt about that. It's alarming. One shooting is too many, but any shooting on a school property or in relation to a school or young people raises the alarm bells even louder and further. I can't comment on organized crime or any connections to that. I can't comment on any connections between the victim and the suspects at this time. Again, we're still weeding through the information and again, trying to uncover the evidence and see where it takes us.
The boy you said is critical but stable, is he expected to survive?
I'm not going to comment on his expectation to survive. I can just say that he's critically stable at this time, and that's the information we've been given from the hospital.
Do you know if those two boys attended the school in question?
My information is they did not. Whether they have any connections outside to that school or the individual that was the victim in this, I don't know. But again, this investigation is early, and we're still working on a lot of information.
Did you always known to police?
I'm not going to comment on that right now.
Do you have any motives at this point?
Not at this point.
Do you know how the boy was brought out into the parking lot? I mean, did they call him or did someone call them? Do you have any idea as to how he happened to be in the parking lot at that time when they were there?
Yeah, the only information I can release at this time is that the young victim walked out into the parking lot and was then shot by the suspects, and it's specifically one suspect. I don't know if there's any interactions prior, if they're known. I have no idea.
Can you tell us where he was shot exactly?
In the torso area.
2 shots, right? In the torso?
I'm going to say more than one.
Would it be correct to say that the boys you've arrested reside in Peel? Is that their known address?
I'm not going to comment on where they may reside.
Okay, one more question?
So there are no outstanding suspects?
Not that we are aware of at this time. However, once again, the investigators are still knee-deep in information and still trying to uncover more evidence.
Is there any evidence or information that there are gangs, drugs, anything involved in this?
Nothing I can comment on in this time. Once again, it's very early.
And sorry, just really quickly to clarify, I think you said that there may be more charges pending. Is that related to the carjacking or some other incident that we're not aware of?
It may be relating into other incidents or information that at this time we're not aware of. Again, this investigation is continuing on, and it's in the early stages, and we're doing the best we can to expedite the investigation. But we have to be mindful that we have a job to do, ensure the integrity of the case, and just take our time and do what we need to do.
Is it your belief that the 9mm is the potential murder, attempted murder weapon?
The only thing I'll comment on that is that there were 9mm casings at the scene. The firearm recovered was a 9mm, but there is absolutely no evidence present at this time that is the firearm. That's for further investigation.
The getaway vehicle, was it owned or was it stolen? Any information on that?
Yeah, it's a stolen vehicle that was carjacked earlier in that day in Peel.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.